The Open Source Chat Show, Hacktoberfest Special, every Friday, October 2021, brought to you by Women Who Code Frontend. In the previous episode, we discussed tips on how to make the most out of the Hacktoberfest month or through your open source contributions. In this episode, we will discuss tips about how to pick an open source project, not to be overwhelmed, and also learn about open source licenses. I am your host, Princiya Sequeira. Let's get started with Kavya and Pragati and get to know about their open source adventures.
So, hey everyone, I'm Kavya. My pronouns are she and her. I'm from India and I'm currently an undergraduate engineering student at Cluster Innovation Center, University of Delhi. So, I'm currently in the final year of engineering in the field of information technology and mathematical innovation. I have also interned with Outreachy this summer.
So, hey everyone, I'm Pragati. I'm also from India and I'm also an undergraduate student and I'm pursuing computer science and engineering. I've been an MLH fellow twice and contributed to React Native and Adobe Docs in my tenure under the MLH fellowship. Apart from that, I've been a part of many student communities like the Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador and Developer Students Club. I was at DSCB in the past year, and I really enjoy writing technical content. I keep writing technical blogs, etc. I've also written a blog for Adobe Docs.
Now, why open source? What does it mean to you? Why did you choose open source itself? And what is that thing that you like or hate about open source?
Like the spirit of open source lies in collaboration and contributing, the spirit of building together, basically. So, even as beginners, when I was like doing projects and making projects, etc. I had the feeling that I'm just making this for myself. Whereas in open source, it's like the projects are there, and if you contribute to it, you contribute significant features and make improvements to that particular project. That could be basically helpful to thousands and millions of people. And this is the one thing that I really love, that the community at large. Basically collaboratively works with each other and makes that project move forward.
So, I would say that it's rightly said that working on open source project help you as much as it helps project. So it helps you learn many skills that you'll use later in your life, maybe in your higher studies or later in job. So I think that is what is why we choose OSS. So what I love about open source is the community. The people in the open source community are so welcoming and helpful. They're ready to help you with their resources and their time. And like you get a chance to learn through collaboration with people of like similar interests. Plus, there's no fixed working hours. So like for people like me who are not a morning person, I would love pulling up my laptop at night and doing my work and completing it at night. So I think there's a flexibility to work on one's own schedule.
Kavya, tell me, how was Outreachy experience for you? And yeah, what were I like, grateful about it, or like, how did that happen to you?
Like so for the people who don't know what Outreachy is, like it is a diversity initiative that provides paid internship for people who are underrepresented in the tech industry of their country. So I work with Inkscape organization as a part of my Outreachy internship. So Inkscape is an open source vector graphics editor software. So it is used to create vector images primarily in the SVG format, the scalable vector graphics format. So my project with Inkscape was to work to create a new functionality in Inkscape, which was to make the alignment and distribution functionality more dynamic. So all in all, it was an amazing and fulfilling experience. Plus, Outreachy was my first paid job in the field of tech, so it has a special place in my heart. So that's the point.
So tell us about your MLH experience. What is MLH and how did MLH happen to you?
MLH Fellowship is basically a 12-week open source internship program. This is likely similar to what we know about GSOC, but slightly different in terms of that people usually work in teams, which we call as pods. and each pod has a pod lead. And overall, a combination of learning plus working experience. This is the thing that I clearly love about MLH Fellowship, that it's just not an open source program where you're just contributing, but the learning journey is highly significant. Overall experience of mine at MLH Fellowship was really uplifting in terms of my career. And uh, another thing that I owe to the MLH Fellowship would be my communication skills, because in the starting when I joined in, I was really not confident enough to speak in front of an audience or be a public speaker. I was like too shy to communicate.
What are your next steps? How do you plan to stay connected with open source, or do you get the time at this point, or yeah, are you have you got better opportunities because you are connected to this open source program? Do you mentor others? Yeah, tell us a bit about this continuation journey after the fellowship.
A thing that I can use to help them would be my technical writing skills. So I keep writing blogs majorly around the open source community and open source projects itself, so as to reach out to more and more people and help them get started with their journey. Apart from that, even in my campus, I have been a community lead for Developer Students Club. So I've tried to like uh, help my juniors get started with their open source journeys, and I've organized several webinars, etc., in here, so that I can reach out to more and more people, talk to them about my journey, and help them get started with their own. Uh,
So, Outreachy has been a really great journey for me. So I want others to experience it too. So I talk to the Inkscape community, and I'm helping them in organizing the next Outreachy participations. So for this year, this cohort, winter cohort, it might not be possible because we have given out a project, but we do not have mentors to in the documentation field that we are applying for. So we might not be able to do it this time, but we are planning to host other outreaches, participate in other outreachy cohorts. So I would be helping the Inkscape team with that. And other than that, I'm involved in the community, in the communication channel. Although I'm not being able to contribute to the projects as I'm a bit busy with the college semesters, it is a bit difficult to manage both. But I try to stay connected with the community as much as I can, and I give them feedbacks and talk to them whenever and whatever they need. I just talk to them, and the communication is still there between me and the community. So that's what stays like.
Once you get into open source, then you're forever into open source, or it's just you get started. And yeah, I guess there's multiple ways to stay connected itself with open source, so which is really cool. Okay. How what advice would you give prospects or new people especially to choose projects itself? So there are lots of projects out there, and then it can vary from different tech stacks. So what is your advice, Kavya, for example, how did you choose your outreachy project, for example? Or then if you were a new contributor, having known what it is like to be a contributor, what would be your suggestions or tips about going about choosing projects?
So as you said, there are a lot of organizations and projects out there. It could be hard to identify which one you want to work on. So what you can do is choose the organization that aligns with your interest, or you can, or what you can do is start by thinking of about the project that you already use or want to use. So after you have done finalized an organization that aligns with your interest, next you can choose a project that requires skills that you already have. You don't need to be expert in those skills. Like an intermediate level knowledge would be enough to start with, and there are a lot of ways anyone can contribute to open source. It's not just restricted to development. One can contribute to documentation, design, community organization and management. So just go with these things and then choose a good first issue in the domain that you're interested in, then like make your first pull request, and there would be people guiding you all the way. So no need to worry about that, and you'll have the basic idea, and then you can start with it.
Yeah, even as a beginner, I have faced this issue a lot. When I wanted to start with my open source journey, this seemed a lot overwhelming because whenever you go on GitHub, search for projects or something relevant to your skills, you get a lot of open issues and projects to work on. So it's really hard to navigate or to choose one out of them. And to begin with, I would suggest firstly, the contributor should look at their goals. They should try to determine why they want to contribute to open source or why they want to contribute to that particular project. People can ask themselves a few questions what are the skills that they want to further work on. Like for me, during the MLH fellowship, I wanted to work a lot over my JavaScript skills. So I wanted a project that aligned to some of JavaScript tech stack. So again, I would like to say that open source is also about a bit of patience because the entire community is involved. So each and everyone needs their space and time to work and respond upon the problems that you might be facing with the things that you have proposed. So you need to be a bit understanding and a bit patient there, and things will definitely work out.
Of. So, what can you tell us a bit about open source licenses itself?
Most simplest form of open source licenses would be that they are categorized into two forms. One is called a copyleft license, and the another one is called permissive license. So, in copyleft licenses, basically the original repository or the original project, they basically restrict the contributors from relicensing the derivative that you have made. So, basically if you have like added a certain feature to that particular project, then the derivative that you have, you cannot basically use it as your own project or as a different project. It will just exist as a derivative of that particular project, and so you cannot add a new license to that, or you cannot relicense that. So it is more restrictive, and the more common examples of copyleft license would be the GNU public license or the Mozilla public license. And then coming to permissive license, a permissive license is it permits the creator of that derivative to change the derivative's work license. So if I have like contributed a certain feature to a project, and it's a big or significant feature, I can basically the permissive license basically permits me to use it as my own property, as to use it as my own project, and if I want, I can add a new license to it or do anything with it. So the most common example of permissive license would be an MIT license that we see in a lot of open source projects, and even the Apache license comes under in permissive license.
All right, that was certainly very insightful. Thank you so much, Kavya and Pragati, for joining me today and talking about your open source experience, how to go about choosing projects, what to keep in mind about open source licenses. It is important to have a personal goal so that you can narrow down your searches and find a good first project for contribution. Open source is for everyone. Do not restrict yourself. Patience is the key, sky is the limit. Thank you.